Hello, and welcome to Julius Caesar Act II. Let's review briefly from Act I. In Act I, we met a couple of very key characters. Brutus, who's going to be the main character of the play. Very stoic, very serious, thinks about everything before he does it. We met Cassius, a little bit the opposite. Cassius is more emotional, more manipulative. Both of these characters are unhappy with the way things are going, with their friend Caesar gaining so much power. Cassius wants to do something immediately, whereas Brutus wants to ponder and consider what to do next. We also met, of course, Julius Caesar, who at this point is about 50 years old. He's an older man. He has epilepsy, and he has not become emperor just yet, but many feel that he will do so very shortly. The other character that was really only hinted at was Mark Antony. He's going to become a major character later, so those are the characters you should have noticed at first. A few minor characters from Act I. There was Casca, a friend of Cassius's and Brutus's, and two other characters, Marius and Flavius, who protested Caesar at the beginning, and you saw were put to death by the end. Act II picks up about a month later. You'll remember it was February 15th before the Feast of Lupercal, and now we are at the very, very early morning of March 15th, probably 2 a.m. And March 15th is also known as the Ides of March, which you may remember the soothsayer tells Caesar to beware in Act I. Act II is split into two parts. The first part deals with Brutus, considering what to do next, speaking with his wife, pondering what must be done about Caesar. And the second half is Caesar, speaking with his wife. And the second half is Caesar, speaking with his wife. Here are some things I want you to look for as you go through Act II. Number one, think about tragic heroes. Remember, a tragic hero is someone that starts at a high place, they rise to power, they have a downfall as a result of their tragic flaw, something's wrong with them. They have a downfall, and then at the very end they realize their problem. Try to figure out who the tragic hero is in this play, or perhaps there's more than one. The second thing, take a look at some recurring themes and some recurring motifs. A theme, remember, is a general lesson about life, where a motif is something that occurs over and over again. So as we go through, I'll try to point out things that seem to keep popping up. You should do the same. Well, that's enough for now. Let's get started with Julius Caesar, Act II, Scene 1.
What, Lucius? Oh!
I cannot, by the progress of the stars, give guess how near today.
Lucius, I say.
I would it were my fault to sleep so soundly.
When, Lucius, when? Awake, I say. What, Lucius?
Called you, my lord?
Get me a taper in my study, Lucius. When 'tis light come and call me here.
I will, my lord.
It must be by his death. And for my part, I know no personal cause to spurn at him. But for the general, he would be crowned. How that might change his nature, there's the question. It is the bright day that brings forth the adder, and that craves wary walking. Crown him. That. And then, I grant, we put a sting in him, that at his will he may do danger with. The abuse of greatness is when it disjoins remorse from power. And, to speak truth of Caesar, I have not known when his affection swayed more than his reason. But 'tis a common proof that lowliness is young ambition's ladder, whereto the climber upward turns his face. But when he once attains the utmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back, looks to the clouds, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. So Caesar may. Then lest he may prevent. And since the quarrel will bear no colour for the thing he is, fashion it thus, that what he is, augmented, would run to these and these extremities, and therefore think him as a serpent's egg, which, hatched, would as his kind grow mischievous, and kill him in the shell.
The program here raises an interesting question, and it's one I want you to consider. I don't have a thought for you specifically, but do you agree with Brutus's justification for assassinating Caesar? Brutus has gone through why he thinks it's necessary. Now notice he doesn't really point out any evidence. If you missed it, go back and take a look at some of the footnotes. But Brutus hasn't seen anything happen yet, but he thinks that there is a possible danger, and it's that possibility is the reason that he should kill Caesar. Ask yourself if you agree or not.
The taper burneth in your closet, sir. Searching the window for a flint, I found this paper thus sealed up, and I am sure it did not lie there when I went to bed.
Get you to bed again. It is not day. Is not tomorrow, boy, the Ides of March?
I know not, sir.
What? Look in the calendar and bring me word.
I will, sir.
The exhalations whizzing in the air give so much light that I may read by them. Brutus, thou sleepst, awake and see thyself. Shall Rome, etc., speak, strike, redress? Brutus, thou sleepst, awake. Such instigations have been often dropped where I have took them up. Shall Rome, etc. Thus must I piece it out. Shall Rome stand under one man's awe? What Rome? My ancestors did from the streets of Rome the Tarquin drive when he was called a king. Speak, strike, redress. Am I entreated to speak and strike? O Rome, I make thee promise. If the redress will follow, thou receivest thy full petition at the hand of Brutus.
Sir, March has wasted 15 days.
'Tis good. Go to the gate, somebody knocks.
You'll notice how this is not the first time a character has interpreted a sign to mean exactly what they want. Here Brutus receives a message, and all the message says is, speak, strike, redress, Brutus thou sleepest, awake. Well, if somebody said that to you or me, we probably would have no idea what they're talking about, but Brutus makes it fit what he's already thinking. How could that be considered a flaw? How could that be considered a problem? And pay attention, because you're going to see this again.
Since Cassius first did whet me against Caesar, I have not slept. Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. The genius and the mortal instruments are then in council, and the state of man, like to a little kingdom, suffers then the nature of an insurrection.
Sir, it is your brother Cassius at the door, who doth desire to see you.
Is he alone?
No, sir. There are more with him.
Do you know them?
No, sir. Their hats are plucked about their ears, and half their faces buried in their cloaks, that by no means I may discover them by any mark of favour.
Let him enter. They are the faction. Oh, conspiracy. Shamest thou to show thy dangerous brow by night, when evils are most free? Oh, then by day, where wilt thou find a cavern dark enough to mask thy monstrous visage? Seek none, conspiracy. Hide it in smiles and affability. For if thou pass thy native semblance on, not Erebus itself were dim enough to hide thee from prevention.
I think we are too bold upon your rest. Good morrow, Brutus. Do we trouble you?
I have been up this hour, awake all night. Know I these men that come along with you?
Yes, every man of them, and no man here but honours you. And every one doth wish you had but that opinion of yourself which every noble Roman bears of you. This is Trebonius.
He is welcome hither.
This, Decius Brutus.
He is welcome too.
This Casca, this Cinna, and this Metellus Cimber.
They are all welcome. What watchful cares do interpose themselves betwixt your eyes and night?
Shall I entreat a word?
Here lies the east. Doth not the day break here?
No. Oh, pardon, sir, it doth. And yon grey lines that fret the clouds are messengers of day.
You shall confess that you are both deceived. Here, as I point my sword, the sun arises, which is a great way growing on the south, away in the youthful season of the year. Some 2 months hence, up higher toward the north, he first presents his fire, and the high east stands as the capital directly here.
Give me your hands all over, one by one.
And let us swear our resolution.
No, not an oath. If not the face of men, the sufferance of our souls, the time's abuse, if these be motives weak, break off betimes, and every man hence to his idle bed. So let high-sighted tyranny range on, till each man drop by lottery. But if these, as I am sure they do, bear fire enough to kindle cowards and to steal with valour the melting spirits of women, then, countrymen, what need we any spur but our own cause to prick us to redress? What other bond than secret Romans that have spoke the word and will not palter? And what other oath than honesty to honesty engaged, that this shall be, or we will fall for it?
You'll notice so far that there's a very different method between Brutus and Cassius. Cassius and his friends are wearing hoods and cloaks at night to hide their faces and hide themselves, because essentially they know that they're in the wrong. They know that they're out to assassinate Caesar, likely because they are simply jealous. Brutus, however, wants none of this. He doesn't want them to swear an oath. He doesn't want them to hide. He would rather them go out and do what they are going to do nobly, because they feel it is in the best interest of the country. It is for this reason that we see Brutus telling them not to shake hands or swear anything, because the situation they're in should be enough to convince them to act nobly here. As we go forward, you'll see him talk more about this, and throughout the play, just watch the difference between Cassius's motives and Brutus's motives.
Swear, priests and cowards and men cautelous, old feeble carrions, and such suffering souls that welcome wrongs. And to bad causes swear, such creatures as men doubt, but do not stain the even virtue of our enterprise, nor the insuppressive metal of our spirits. To think that or our cause or our performance did need an oath, when every drop of blood that every Roman bears, and nobly bears, is guilty of a several bastardy, if he do break the smallest particle of any promise that has passed from him.
Again, this entire speech is Brutus telling them that the oath should not be necessary, and the question raised is, do you think the others agree that no oath is necessary? Something to think about.
But what of Cicero? Shall we sound him? I think he will stand very strong with us.
Let us not leave him out.
No, by no means.
Oh, let us have him, for his silver hairs will purchase us a good opinion, and buy men's voices to commend our deeds. It shall be said his judgment ruled our hands. Our youths and wildness shall no whit appear, but all be buried in his gravity.
Oh, name him not. Let us not break with him, for he will never follow anything that other men begin.
Then leave him out.
Indeed, he is not fit.
Shall no man else be touched but only Caesar?
Decius, well urged. I think it is not meet. Mark Antony, so well beloved of Caesar, should outlive Caesar. We shall find of him a shrewd contriver. And you know his means, if he improve them, may well stretch so far as to annoy us all, which to prevent, let Antony and Caesar fall together.
Our course will seem too bloody, Caius Cassius. to cut the head off and then hack the limbs, like wrath in death and envy afterwards. For Antony is but a limb of Caesar. Let us be sacrificers, but not butchers, Gaius.
This is a very important line in the play. Let us be sacrificers and not butchers. Brutus sees this as, something that must be done, such as a sacrifice, in order to bring something better, whereas Cassius sees this more as a hostile takeover. Cassius wants Mark Antony dead and out of the way. He sees him as a potential threat, but Brutus is saying, no, let us only do what we absolutely must. In this case, that is kill Caesar. And what happens here really shows you the balance of power between these two at this point. Even though Cassius has put the whole thing together, they still need Brutus most, because he is the highest ranking in their group.
We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of man there is no blood. Oh, that we then could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar. But alas, Caesar must bleed for it. And gentle friends, let's kill him boldly, but not wrathfully. Let's carve him as a dish fit for the gods, not hew him as a carcass fit for hounds. And let our hearts, as subtle masters do, stir up their servants to an act of rage, and after seem to chide 'em. This shall make our purpose necessary, and not envious. Which so appearing to the common eyes, we shall be called purgers, not murderers. And for Mark Antony, think not of him, for he can do no more than Caesar's arm when Caesar's head is off.
Yet I fear him, for in the engrafted love he bears to Caesar.
Alas, good Cassius, do not think of him. If he loves Caesar, all that he can do is to himself take thought and die for Caesar. And that were much he should, for he is given to sport, to wildness, and much company.
There is no fear in him. Let him not die, for he will live and laugh at this hereafter.
Peace. Count the clock.
The clock has stricken 3.
'Tis time to part.
But it is doubtful yet whether Caesar will come forth today or no. For he is superstitious grown of late, quite from the main opinion he held once a fantasy of dreams and ceremonies. It may be these apparent prodigies, the unaccustomed terror of this night, and the persuasion of his augurers may hold him from the capital today.
Never fear that. If he be so resolved, then I cannot sway him, for he loves to hear that unicorns may be betrayed with trees, and bears with glasses, elephants with holes, lions with toils, and men with flatterers. But when I tell him he hates flatterers, he says he does, being then most flattered. Let me work, for I can give his humour the true bent, and I will bring him to the capital.
Nay, we will all of us be there to fetch him.
By the 8th hour. Is that the uttermost?
Be that the uttermost, and fail not then.
Caius Ligarius doth bear Caesar hard, who rated him for speaking well of Pompey. I wonder none of you have thought of him.
Now, good Metellus, go along by him. He loves me well, and I've given him reasons. Send him but hither, and I'll fashion him.
The morning comes upon us, we'll leave you, Brutus. And friends, disperse yourselves, but all remember what you have said, and show yourselves true Romans.
Good gentlemen, look fresh and merrily. Let not our looks put on our purposes, but bear it as our Roman actors do, with untired spirits and formal constancy. And so, good morrow to you, everyone. Boy! Lucius! Fast asleep? It is no matter. Enjoy the honey-heavy dew of slumber. Thou hast no figures nor no fantasies, which busy care draws in the brains of men. Therefore thou sleepst so sound.
Brutus? My lord?
So now we are introduced to Portia, who is Brutus's wife. Portia is one of the few female characters in the play, in addition to Caesar's wife. Before we move on, though, I want you to watch for something that we've seen several times, and that is the motif of hypocrisy. And perhaps there is a theme here as well, if we can make a statement about hypocrisy. When do we see characters saying one thing but doing another? Characters thinking perhaps to themselves that they have one motivation but having another motivation. A character that wishes they thought one way but their actions show something else. What is Shakespeare trying to say about the effects of hypocrisy? Pay careful attention to Brutus, to Cassius, to Caesar. Let's continue with Brutus talking to his wife.
Portia, what mean you? Wherefore rise you now? It is not for your health thus to commit your weak condition to the raw cold morning.
Nor for yours neither. You have ungently, Brutus, stole from my bed. And yesternight at supper you suddenly arose and walked about, musing and sighing with your arms across. And when I asked you what the matter was, you stared upon me with ungentle looks. I urged you further, then you scratched your head and too impatiently stamped with your foot. Yet I insisted, yet you answered not, but with an angry waftier of your hand gave sign for me to leave you. So I did, fearing to strengthen that impatience which seemed too much enkindled, and withal hoping it was but an effect of humour, which sometime hath his hour with every man. It will not let you eat, nor talk, nor sleep, and could it work so much upon your shape as it hath much prevailed on your condition, I should not know you. Brutus, dear my lord, make me acquainted with your cause of grief.
I am not well in health, and that is all.
Brutus is wise, and were he not in health, he would embrace the means to come by it.
Why, so I do. Good Portia, go to bed.
Is Brutus sick? And is it physical to walk unbraced and suck up the humours of the dank morning? What, is Brutus sick? And will he steal out of his wholesome bed to dare the vile contagion of the night, and tempt the roomy and unpurged air to add unto his sickness? No, my Brutus. You have some sick offence within your mind, which by the right and virtue of my place I ought to know of. And upon my knees I charm you, thou I once commended beauty, by all your vows of love, and that great vow which did incorporate and make us one, that you unfold to me, yourself, your half, why you are heavy, and what men tonight have had resort to you, for here have been some 6 or 7 who did hide their faces even from darkness.
So Portia is rather upset that Brutus is not sharing with her, and you'll notice Portia's rather clever. Brutus says that he simply hasn't been feeling well, and that's why he hasn't been acting very cheerful over the past month. Yet, he's also walking around at night at 3 a.m., and if he were sick, why would he be doing that? This scene also gives us a chance to see what has been leading up to this scene. Remember, when you're doing a play, you can't show everything. They can't show the entire month Brutus has spent thinking, so we need to hear about it in another way, and we hear about it from Portia in this case. And you'll notice Brutus is not being honest. He's not showing everything. He's keeping some things secret. This remains a common theme throughout the play.
Kneel not, gentle Portia.
I should not need if you were gentle, Brutus. Within the bond of marriage, tell me, Brutus, is it accepted I should know no secrets that appertain to you? Am I yourself but, as it were, in sort or limitation to keep with you at meals, comfort your bed, and talk to you sometimes? Dwell I but in the suburbs of your good pleasure? If it be no more, Portia is Brutus' harlot, not his wife.
You are my true and honourable wife, as dear to me as are the ruddy drops that visit my sad heart.
This were true, then should I know this secret.
Portia's really pulling out all the stops here. She says, listen, because of our bond of marriage, you should tell me everything. Am I not to just talk to you at meals and talk to you sometimes and sleep in your bed? If that's the only reason that we are together, notice she says this, Portia is Brutus's harlot, not his wife. That's a strong statement. And you'll notice Brutus immediately responds, no, you are my true and honorable wife. She really wants to know what's going on.
I grant I am a woman, but withal a woman that Lord Brutus took to wife. I grant I am a woman, but withal a woman well reputed. Cato's daughter. Think you I am no stronger than my sex, being so fathered and so husbanded? Tell me your counsels. I will not disclose them. I have made strong proof of my constancy, giving myself a voluntary wound here in the thigh. Can I bear that with patience and not my husband's secrets?
Oh, ye gods, render me worthy of this noble wife. Hark, hark, one knocks. Portia, go in a while, and by thy bosom shall partake the secrets of my heart. All my engagement I will construe to thee, all the charactery of my sad brows. Leave me in haste. Lucius, who's that knocks?
Here is a sick man that would speak with you.
Gaius Ligarius, that Metellus spake of. Boy, stand aside. Gaius Ligarius, how?
Vouchsafe good morrow from a feeble tongue.
Oh, what a time have you chose out, brave Gaius, to wear a kerchief. Would you were not sick?
I am not sick, if Brutus have in hand any exploit worthy the name of honour.
Such an exploit have I in hand, Ligarius, had you a healthful ear to hear of it.
By all the gods that Romans bow before, I here discard my sickness. Soul of Rome, brave son, derived from honourable loins, thou, like an exorcist, hast conjured up my mortified spirit. Now bid me run, and I will strive with things impossible, yea, get the better of them. What's to do?
A piece of work that will make sick men whole.
But are not some whole that we must make sick?
That must we also. What it is, my Gaius, I shall unfold to thee as we are going to whom it must be done.
Set on your foot, and with a heart new-fired I follow you, to do I know not what, but it sufficeth that Brutus leads me on.
Follow me, then.
One big question throughout the play is one that's here on the side. What character flaws does Brutus have, and yet what honorable flaws does he have? Is Brutus honorable in wanting to assassinate Caesar, or is he selfish? Is he honorable in keeping this from his wife, or is he selfish? Is he jealous of Caesar, or does he have Rome in mind the whole time? Is he simply flattered by everybody else, telling him what a wonderful person he is, and in this case how he, just his presence has healed Ligarius, and how all these letters are pouring in? Is Brutus just reacting because of this, or is it something more noble? You have to answer that for yourself, and you have to be able to back it up. Think about it going forward. Let's move on to scene 2, where we meet Caesar and his wife.
Nor heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight. Thrice hath Calpurnia in her sleep cried out, "Help ho, they murder Caesar." Who's within?
My lord.
Go bid the priests do present sacrifice and bring me their opinions of success.
I will, my lord.
What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of your house today.
Caesar shall forth, The things that threatened me ne'er looked but on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished.
Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies, yet now they fright me. There is one within, besides the things that we have heard and seen, recounts most horrid sights seen by the watch. A lioness hath whelped in the streets, and graves have yawned and yielded up their dead. Fierce, fiery warriors fight upon the clouds, in ranks and squadrons of right form of war, which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. The noise of battle hurtled in the air. Horses do neigh, and dying men did groan, and ghosts did shriek and squeal about the streets. O Caesar, these things are beyond all use, and I do fear them.
So we have another recurring motif, and that's the idea of supernatural events. Remember in Act 1 we had people on fire and there was a lion in the Capitol. Here we have another lioness. We have the graves giving up people. We have warriors fighting in the sky. All of these are examples of supernatural signs. The question is, what do they mean? We've already seen the characters all sort of interpreting them to mean what they want. We've seen Caesar believing half of the signs and not the other half of the signs. Let's see if we can figure out when Caesar believes something and when he...
What can be avoided, whose end is purposed by the mighty gods? Yet Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar.
When beggars die, there are no comets, see. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes.
Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I yet have heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear, seeing that death, a necessary end, will come when it will come.
So, here's a good question as well. Does Caesar know he's going to die and simply face it nobly, or is he just ignorant and think that he's beyond it? He does make this famous line here, "Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once." Is Caesar admitting that he's going to die? We don't know. Let's continue.
What say the Oculus?
They would not have you to stir forth today. Plucking the entrails of an offering forth, they could not find a heart within the beast.
The gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar shall be a beast without a heart, if he should stay at home today for fear. No, Caesar shall not. Danger knows full well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. We are two lions littered in one day, and I, the elder and more terrible. And Caesar shall go forth.
Alas, my lord, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house, and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate house, and he shall say you are not well today. Let me upon my knee prevail in this.
Mark Antony shall say, I am not well. And for thy humour, I will stay at home.
It's interesting how Caesar was willing to ignore the signs of the gods and ignore all of the fortune tellers, and yet when his wife asks him very insistently, he willingly agrees. This is very different than Brutus, and Brutus is generally considered to be more thoughtful and more honorable, and yet Brutus sort of shrugs off his wife when she asks to know his secret. He does not give in.
Here's Decius Brutus. He shall tell them so.
Caesar, all hail. Good morrow, worthy Caesar. I come to fetch you to the Senate house.
And you are come in very happy time to bear my greeting to the senators and tell them that I will not come today. Cannot is false, and that I dare not, falser. I will not come today. Tell them so, Decius.
Say he is sick.
Shall Caesar send a lie? Have I in conquest stretched mine arm so far to be afeard to tell greybeards the truth? Decius, go tell them Caesar will not come.
Most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so.
The cause is in my will. I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. But, for your private satisfaction, because I love you, I will let you know. Calpurnia here, my wife, stays me at home. She dreamt tonight she saw my statue, which like a fountain with 100 spouts did run pure blood, and many lusty Romans came smiling and did bathe their hands in it. And these does she apply for warnings and portents and evils imminent, and on her knee hath begged that I will stay at home today.
This dream is all misinterpreted. It was a vision fair and fortunate. Your statue spouting blood in many pipes, in which so many smiling Romans bathed, signifies that from you great Rome shall suck reviving blood, and that great men shall press for tinctures, stains, relics, and cognizance. This, by Calpurnia's dream, is signified.
And this way have you well expounded.
I have, when you have heard what I can say. And know it now. The Senate have concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. If you shall send them word you will not come, their minds may change. Besides, it were a mock apt to be rendered for someone to say, break up the Senate till another time when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams. If Caesar hide himself, shall they not whisper, lo, Caesar is afraid? Pardon me, Caesar, for my dear, dear love to your proceeding bids me tell you this, and reason to my love is liable.
So Decius has 3 reasons Caesar should go. Number 1, he reinterprets the dream to something Caesar will believe, that the blood spouting forth from Caesar's fountain is a good thing. People are taking in reviving nourishment from Caesar. The second reason is that Caesar may be laughed at because they may say he's afraid. They also say that Caesar may be offered the crown if he shows up today. So, of these 3 reasons, the program asks a great question: which one do you think Caesar finds the most compelling? And it's also interesting how Caesar can shrug off these signs when they are unfortunate, and yet when he likes them, he goes along with them.
How foolish do your fears seem now, Calpurnia. I am ashamed I did yield to them. Give me my robe, for I will go. And look where Publius is come to fetch me.
Good morrow, Caesar.
Welcome, Publius. What? Brutus, are you stirred so early too? Good morrow, Casca. Gaius Ligarius, Caesar was ne'er so much your enemy as that same ague which hath made you lean. What is the clock?
Caesar, 'tis striken 8.
I thank you for your pains and courtesy. See, Antony, that revels long o' nights, is notwithstanding up. Good morrow, Antony.
So to most noble Caesar.
Bid them prepare within. I am to blame to be thus waited for. Now, sinner, now Metellus, what Trebonius? I have an hour's talk in store for you. Remember that you call on me today. Be near me that I may remember you.
Caesar, I will. And so near will I be that your best friends shall wish I had been further.
Good friends, go in and taste some wine with me, and we, like friends, will straightway go together.
But every like is not the same, O Caesar. The heart of Brutus earns to think upon.
And so we reach the end of scene 2. Caesar has easily been swayed by not listening to his wife, by believing what he wants to hear, by insisting that he is immortal, and yet at the same time insisting that the gods are correct. Caesar's believing many things at once, and this is a character flaw. Brutus, believes that he is always acting nobly, and sometimes he is not. That's his flaw. But Caesar, he tends to shift his position. We have one more very, very short scene in Act 2, Scene 3, and this is one man who knows that Caesar is going to be assassinated. He's heard the conspiracy, and he is going to have an attempt to warn Caesar. Let's continue.
Caesar, beware of Brutus, take heed of Cassius, come not near Casca, have an eye to Cinna, trust not Trebonius, mark well Metellus Cimber, Decius Brutus loves thee not, thou hast wronged Gaius Ligarius. There is but one mind in all these men, and it is bent against Caesar. If thou beest not immortal, look about you. Security gives way to conspiracy. The mighty gods defend thee. Thy lover, Artemidorus. Here will I stand till Caesar pass along, and as a suitor will I give him this. My heart laments that virtue cannot live out of the teeth of emulation. If thou read this, O Caesar, thou mayest live. If not, the fates with traitors do contrive.
And that is the end of Act 2, Scene 3. Very short. Now, why does this scene even exist? There's really nothing new here. It's really just sort of a capstone. It wraps up the act. It summarizes everything that's occurred. It gives us a list of all of the names. But also, on a more practical scale, it gives the actors time to get from the end of Act 2, Scene 2 to the beginning of Act 3, Scene 1. It breaks it up for the audience, so we don't have this just extremely long stretch of the same people on stage. With that, we're going to go through Act 2, Scene 4 very quickly, where we see Portia sending a messenger to try to find out what Brutus has been up to.
I prithee, boy, run to the Senate house. Stay not to answer me, but get thee gone. Why dost thou stay?
To know my errand, madam.
I would have had thee there and here again, ere I can tell thee what thou shouldst do there. Oh, Constancy, be strong upon my side. Set a huge mountain between my heart and tongue. I have a man's mind, but a woman's might. How hard it is for a woman to keep counsel. Art thou here yet?
Madam, what should I do? Run to the capital and nothing else? And so return to you and nothing else?
Yes! Bring me word, boy, if thy lord Brutus look well, for he went sickly forth. And take good note what Caesar doth, what suitors press to him. Hark, boy, what noise is that?
I hear none, madam.
Prithee, listen well. I heard a bustling rumour like a fray, and the wind brings it from the capital.
Sooth, madam, I hear nothing.
Come hither, fellow. Which way hast thou been?
At mine own house, good lady.
What is 'clock?
About the 9th hour, lady.
Is Caesar yet gone to the capital?
Madam, not yet. I go to take my stand, to see him pass on to the capital.
Thou hast some suit to Caesar, hast thou not?
That I have, lady. If it will please Caesar to be so good to Caesar as to hear me, I shall beseech him to befriend himself.
Why? Knowst thou any harms intended towards him?
None that I know will be, much that I fear may chance. Good morrow to you. Here the street is narrow. The throng that follows Caesar at the heels of senators, of praetors, common suitors, will crowd a feeble man almost to death. I'll get me to a place more void, and there speak to great Caesar as he comes along.
I must go in. Ay me, how weak a thing the heart of woman is. Oh, Brutus, the heavens speed thee in thine enterprise. Sure the boy heard me. Brutus hath a suit that Caesar will not grant. Oh, I grow faint. Run, Lucius, and commend me to my lord. Say I'm merry. Come to me again and bring me word what he doth say to thee.
So all of the pieces are now set. Portia is aware of the situation. The soothsayer is out to stop Caesar. Artemidorus is going to try to give the letter, and Brutus and the conspiracy are going to try to assassinate Caesar. We have our plot pyramid building to Act 3, the middle of the play, and also the climax. If you'd like to see what happens next, go ahead and click the next video. Thanks for stopping by.